Welcome to the version 1 SAM Teams series of short fireside chats. My name is Jason Pepper and I will be joined in these sessions by my colleague Brian Lavelle. In each of these videos we will take a few minutes to talk about all things software asset management and license optimization and highlight some of the license impacts caused by typical business compelling events or change. In this chat we discuss the implications on licensing of parallel running during on-premise infrastructure migrations and what license considerations you should plan for.
So obviously version 1 do a lot of work with customers who are migrating on-premise. So from a licensing perspective, what kind of thing happens with that? What should customers be thinking about when it's into those projects?
Yeah, it can be a problem, and it's certainly something that we would recommend that customers look at before embarking on the project, or at least including it as part of the project planning and budgeting process. The problem can be is that part of the process of infrastructure migration usually calls for a period of parallel running. So you'd be running the old system and the new system side by side as part of your testing and acceptance process.
Yeah.
The problem with that is some vendors have a requirement that states that you must license all installations, or it's installed and or running. Especially Oracle have a position like that. So it is a possibility that you could create a scenario where the licenses that you were correctly licensed for on the old system, as part of your parallel running process, you may need double the licenses for that period.
Right.
And then there's kind of no exceptions there. So you could potentially create a situation where you're under licensed for that period of time, and essentially that's a potential big cost problem.
Okay. And what can customers do to either mitigate that or prepare for it? Is there?
Well, obviously the standard response is you need to understand your position. So by that we mean look at your license grant. So what actually does it say in the license paperwork? Look at the usage. So if you potentially have an excess of licenses, you might be okay to do parallel running. But if you're not, then you're going to need to have a think about how you're going to approach that. So there are potentially technical solutions to that. You could have an alternative migration method whereby you don't do that full-blown parallel run process.
Right.
Or you potentially look at purchasing additional licenses for a period of time that cover that additional requirement. Or there are certain situations where vendor rules will be different. So not necessarily all vendors have the same approach to that parallel run requirement. You really do need to look at the license grant and understand for that exact situation, how does the license grant apply and what's your specific customer situation.
Yeah. So it's a case of really, like we said before, making sure you know from the outset what the impact is likely to be.
Yeah.
Is it something that if a customer does need it for a short period of time, that there's options around licensing that they can do?
There are, absolutely there are, yes. And one of the things that you can benefit from having regular conversations with your license provider or with your SAM partner is understanding what those vendor options are, and actually knowing that before you go into the project, rather than finding out kind of halfway or 3/4 of the way down to the end of the project, because that's going to create an unbudgeted spend problem. You're going to potentially create a situation where you go over budget on your project, or even you have to buy licenses that you might not necessarily have needed that you could have mitigated. So it's primarily about managing cost and making sure that you optimize to the greatest extent you can what you've already got, and ensuring that the lowest cost possible is applied to that particular project.
Okay, so stopping the licenses having an impact on the technical project you're trying to do.
Yeah,
cool. Thank you very much.
This fireside chat is part of a series of chats covering a wide range of license topics, which you can find at our SAM YouTube playlist below. You can also review our content on LinkedIn by using the hashtag SAMVideoChat. Finally, if you have a license concern or would like to understand how your IT projects impact your enterprise licensing, please contact us for an initial complimentary consultation at www.version1.com/contact. Thank you.